Hey everybody, and welcome back to Dude's Brunch, your late night morning talk show. I'm your host, Taylor Olmstead. With me this week to begin celebrating the holiday season, it's Tyler Reed. Tyler, how are you, buddy? Are you feeling festive?
Not this week, but ask me next week, and I might be.
Well, what did you have for brunch?
Well, this is a two-part story, so just forgive me, audience, because I feel like the story needs to be told. So I celebrated my birthday today, and so like every brunch, I ended up going to Coffee Emporium. I had something a little different today. I had the get a quiche, and I had a waffle. Which, why does the coffee shop have waffles? Don't ask me. I got bananas and almonds on it, expecting there to be a little bit more prepped than just thrown onto a waffle. But what can you expect? So the real story that I want to tell is, so I get to choose where I want to go for my dinner. And so Catherine's gluten-free, which is, there's no problem with that. I love her very much. And so we were trying to find different places that had gluten-free options. And so we found this place, and it was, I thought it was Goodfellas, like the pizza joint, that serves really big pizzas. It's not until the exact moment that we sit down, I look at the menu, it says Goodfellas, and it's like they took the Goodfellas menu and then just took out the A and the S and just hacksawed it off and just put fellows. And this whole time I was like, oh, I guess Goodfellas were just called Goodfellows. I thought it was just a slang thing, like B-dubs. No, this is just some weird one-off. I was like, I just got duped really hard.
Well, I'm glad it was still presumably a happy birthday, even though you got duped.
Happy birthday. Fine. I mean, it certainly was pizza. And it's kind of hard to fuck up pizza.
That's so true.
That's not true at all.
You're right. No, you're right.
He has been known to fuck up a pizza or two. It's Sean Evans. Sean, how are you, buddy?
I'm good.
Are you feeling the holiday cheer?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We devote enough time to this already. I know we're gonna devote this entire episode to holiday cheer, but then hopefully we can just pass it like a bad fruitcake.
Well, did you have fruitcake for brunch?
No, I had coffee and little Italian almond cookies, which was a good choice.
Sounds good.
But can I go back to Tyler's pancakes or waffles? So
singular waffle.
I know that the listeners couldn't see this when Tyler was talking about it, but I had a handful of almonds that I was shaking in my fist, and then I threw them on a waffle. Was that kind of what it was like?
Yes. And just they did the pleasure of actually cutting up the banana for me, which was, a real nice gesture. And then they sliced them and they just kind of laid them in a stack just on top of the waffle. I was like, well, I guess that's where they go.
You're not wrong. Well, I am your host, Taylor, and for brunch this morning, I had some Thanksgiving leftovers kind of fashioned into a breakfast, which, not that interesting. What was interesting, though, as avid fans of the show who like us on Facebook will know, is that I had brunch with Tyler on Saturday.
Hey.
We went to Sleepy Bee and got the world famous Queen City Bee get a sandwich, get a fried egg, some spinach, right, Tyler?
No, it's just it's another kind of leafy green, but I don't remember which one it is.
Leafy greens, some green apples on a toasted ciabatta bun. Gotta say, he was right. Legendary breakfast sandwich. 10 out of 10. Way to go, Sleepy Bee. You rocked the house. And it was nice seeing Tyler and visiting with him in person.
Mm-hmm.
As we alluded to before, a fun-filled festive podcast for you today, so we're going to get started right away with some follow-up. I think the first piece of follow-up on everyone's minds, how many times have you watched the You Name It video over Thanksgiving weekend?
I've overheard it at least twice.
0.
Oh, I've watched it at least 3 more times. I showed it to my whole family as a respite from watching football on Friday. I think it was pretty effective.
Was there really football on Friday?
There was football every single day of this weekend, Sean.
Oh, no, because I watched Cincinnati lose today.
We talked a little bit last week about Apple's book, Designed by Apple in California, and just as a fun little piece of follow-up, in the show notes, I'm going to include a link to a video produced by Stephen Hackett, who sets out his new copy of the book and then sets on top of it his actual Apple products for each of the pages because he is like trying to collect one of each Apple product throughout the years and build kind of like a museum out of them. And so it was cool to see like the actual objects next to the photographs, particularly for some of the weirder stuff like the iPod socks and things that I kind of forgot existed. So we'll link to that in the show notes if you're an Apple person and you want to see that.
I finally got to see one of the new MacBooks the other day.
With the touch bar?
Yeah.
What'd you think of it?
Still not impressed. Still thought it was just a gimmick. It was cool, and the person who had it really liked it, but I just thought, like, why isn't the whole Surface a touchscreen?
Why isn't the whole Surface a touchscreen?
Just makes you wonder. Sorry, I'm real sullen about this. I already had a talk with Sarah earlier today about how I just think that we're just...
Friend of the show, Emily Bamforth, bought a Windows laptop this weekend, and I still don't know how I feel about that decision.
That's fine.
But I mean, I guess you're right. For a company that basically invented the touchscreen device, not a touchscreen laptop, eh?
Yeah. It's like they had such a good thing going, and they're like, yeah, let's see if we can just coast into the sunset with this one. That's what I was telling Sarah. That I feel like Apple thinks that they're Coke, that they can just continue to make this one product and everybody will just love it. But they're not. They're in a total different industry that drives on being new, and they can't play new Apple and then make a even crappier product and then bring back classic Apple. Can't do that.
We spoke in episode 69 about Cards Against Humanity's science scholarship. I think we just need to take a brief moment to acknowledge the amazing experiment that was Cards Against Humanity's Holiday Hole, R.I.P. Holiday Hole. Did you guys see this story this weekend?
No.
I saw it. I didn't just no. For the purpose of this, your point, no.
So, Cards Against Humanity had kind of like a pledge-a-thon where they were running a live stream and accepting donations. And as long as there was a constant stream of money, they were going to continue digging a giant hole in the ground on camera using excavators. And then as soon as the donations stopped, they stopped digging. And the slogan of the project is, "Everything's fine. We're just digging a giant hole in the ground." Of all of the Cards Against Humanity holiday things, I think this one is my favorite. Just digging a hole, you know.
I mean, did they get anything in return?
No. It's like the year that you just gave them money. I think that was 2 years ago.
Right.
Too good.
It's just like, if you took Adult Swim and you made it a stupid card game company. and except for they actually, like, sort of, like, put their money where their mouth is in a more, like, unnecessary way than Adult Swim, because I think Adult Swim actually kind of uses their power for good in a lot of ways. And I guess to some extent, Cards Against Humanity does well with their scholarship, but I mean, fuck. They really just like wasting money for fucking nothing. I don't know. What does this mean? What does this say about the human condition?
Nothing.
It says that 2016 is a dumpster fire.
But that's not...
yeah. See, we have to wait. We have to wait till the end of the year episode to talk about this kind of stuff. We don't.
Foreshadowing.
I don't know if that's true because it's happened in previous years, but that's fine. We'll just keep going.
Oh, I showed Sarah the picture of Billy Corgan on Paws Chicago holding his 2 Siamese black cats.
Oh, nice.
And it says Billy Corgan's Siamese Dream.
Love it.
It's just a good play on words there. So last week on our special episode, we talked about the Moist Maker Thanksgiving sandwich, thanks to Tyler. Also, speaking of that and doing that accent, there was a new Bob's Burgers Thanksgiving episode, which is hilarious. I highly recommend watching it. How was your guys' Thanksgiving? What was your favorite thing that you had?
My Thanksgiving was nice. It was kind of smaller than usual, but that was kind of cool. You know, just pretty low key. My mom made this dip that was like kind of a cream cheese whipped cream pumpkin dip instead of a pumpkin pie. And so you like dipped graham crackers or vanilla wafers or whatever other kind of cookies you wanted to dip into it. It was just kind of a cool different thing instead of doing like super heavy pie. I was pretty into it.
Don't you hate on pie?
I love pie, but the rest of my family doesn't really eat pumpkin pie. It's just me and my mom. So this was kind of like a
why do you
nice
have pumpkin
alternative.
pie?
We had peach pie, and then we had this like pumpkin dip just for my mom and I, because we're the only ones that would eat it.
I like pumpkin pie, but I could do. Tyler, special Thanksgiving?
Well, my family really doesn't change anything at all. So it was the same as always, which, to be fair, is almost what I want out of it. I had my usual 2 plates of food, 2 whole portions of everything, in which I then pretty much immediately go lay down because I'm like, I have eaten far too much. But my favorite thing to do is to take literally everything and make it almost to like a meatloaf of like a block of food, and then just kind of eat it all together. So that's like cornbread, pudding, mashed potatoes, green beans, sweet potato casserole, turkey, mashed potatoes. If I didn't say that.
Wait, sweet potato casserole and mashed potatoes?
Like, yeah.
So
like,
many starches.
Oh my
Right.
god.
But
This is one of the meals every year that you just cannot, like, if you try, it's like calorie counting before you go on a cruise.
I'm not saying it in that way. I'm just saying, like, I don't think I could eat that many potatoes. It would fill me up, and I wouldn't be able to eat the rest of the stuff.
Well, I mean, it's a casserole.
Just continue.
So,
We're not getting into this. Just continue.
Got the nuts on top. It's okay. So, I mean, everyone at my table, or like everyone every year is always like, "Oh, that was so gross. You're combining everything." I'm like, I just don't understand how we could like.
See, but that brings up a good point that you make it into like a food log, which kind of is a follow up right there.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the questions that I've always had is like when you go up to, because I'm assuming that either there's like 2 ways to do Thanksgiving. There's either everyone's at a table and everybody's there, and then you do the kind of, lazy Susan, everyone passes around a dish until everybody gets some. Or there's the buffet style Thanksgiving in which everybody just kind of goes up and just shovels a little bit on as you go down the line, So answer me that, which one you do, the lazy Susan or buffet style, and do you mix, and is it okay? And how do you mix if you mix? Yeah, that's a good one. I want to know that.
We do it lazy Susan, so we don't have a lazy Susan at all. Poor man's lazy Susan by traditionally passing things around. Right. And I'm kind of like, I feel like I'd feel less gluttonous if it was just buffet style, so it wouldn't have to be like, can you pass that thing over? And of course I mix everything together. It's the only way to eat it.
It's not the only way to eat it. It's just the only way you eat it. For me, it's determined by whose kitchen we're in. If Thanksgiving is at my parents' house, it's the lazy Susan pass stuff around because they don't have a whole lot of counter space. But growing up, Thanksgiving was always at my grandma's house, and she had more counter space, and so it was always buffet style. Just kind of depends on the layout. But I am much more of you get everything out on the plate, and you work your way around the plate, like getting a bite of each kind of lazy Susan style in a circle, around and around until you're out of food. I don't know why. I just always want to get like a little bit of each thing one at a time.
By comparison, at least you eat a little bit of everything. I know a lot of people specifically go out of their way to eat one entire thing first and then go on to the next thing, which I think is really
barbaric.
I mean, I don't know if that's as savage as you think it is.
Who's just going to sit there and eat dry turkey all by itself and then just eat gravy
single food eaters,
all by
you
itself?
Are animals. You are filthy animals.
I mean, to be fair, they could just put some gravy on that turkey and then it's perfect.
So this year, at my personal Thanksgiving, I just made meatballs and did it buffet style in my house because I had the meatballs sitting right next to the mashed potatoes, sitting right next to the gravy, and right next to the jar of cranberry sauce that was just down the line. Because I always tend to eat buffet style because I don't like people serving me. That makes me feel really uncomfortable. And then I feel like I have to eat more than I want to eat. But when I went to my cousin's house for Thanksgiving, we had buffet style too, with the exception at the end for dessert. They dished it out, and I had to eat a bowl of Jell-O, and I don't like Jell-O, so I was trying to eat it, and yeah, it was good Jell-O. It was really good. I just don't like Jell-O that much, and I'm a mixer, and there's like a ratio that has to be done. Like you always have to have cranberry, and mashed potatoes and turkey. Stuffing is like come and go. But those 3 things have to be in there, and it's mashed potatoes, whatever the protein is, and then the sauce on top, kind of like a dip, to coat it. Because I don't really like gravy. I'm not super crazy about gravy, so I use the cranberry sauce as a way to kind of sweeten the meat.
I agree with everything that's been presented here. I'm not totally on board with Tyler's Thanksgiving food log, but I'm willing to give it a shot.
I like the food log. I haven't ever tried it, but when I made leftover lunches, and it pretty much is just a congealed food log inside of a Tupperware thing. So I get it. Do you like stir it up to make sure that you still get a little bit and everything, or does it just kind of, is it consistent?
Well, I think it starts off, I just kind of dump everything onto the plate, and since I get everything, it's kind of hard for it not to mix together, and so it just kind of starts off with, I'll scoop up some mashed potatoes, I'll stab some green beans, and I'll stab into the turkey, I'll cut some off, and I'll eat it like that. And then kind of as the meal goes on, it gets into more of like a mosh pit, and like everything just kind of starts mixing together. And
so basically, your plate looks like a 4-year-old's by the end of it.
Well, no,
Absolutely.
what I was gonna ask is, so is your technique do you still like have separate things on your plate, or is it just like Mount Reed in the middle? That's just like layer on layer on layer on layer.
I think it starts off as just a pile of food. Like there's no rhyme or reason to it, but then kind of like as things like leave, because some things will just get eaten faster than others, because some parts are like more essential, because like you get like a mound of mashed potatoes because that's really easy to scoop out, but you don't necessarily always need like a lot of mashed potatoes in there, but you got to get like that sweet potato casserole like in every bite, so that kind of like gets used up a little bit more, so that currency gets wasted a little bit, so you kind of got to like, all right, so now I got to refill the sweet potato, and I got to like really got to portion it out.
I love your life. It's like a board game. I commend you for your ability to take what you love and implement it in every aspect of your life. I love it. I love you. Don't ever change.
Catherine says, do you guys know the concept of the perfect bite?
No, I've heard of it, but I don't remember what it was.
Sure, it's just like a bite that like it perfectly encapsulates like the food that you're eating. Like there's like you get everything that you need out of it.
Yes.
And Catherine insists that like every bite I have is always a perfect bite. Like
That sounds right.
like no matter what it is, I'm always like she looks at me and she's like, you always look like you're having such a good time eating. It's like you're always having a perfect bite. I'm like, it's because I am every time. Just as a side note, because you said the Leaning Tower of Pisa, it turns out if you just type in Pizza Tower into Google Images, it's the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Pizza Tower?
That's a dumb side note, and I'm not including it in the show.
Why is that? Is it literally a pizza tower?
Pizza Tower is the best pizza place in Cincinnati. That's the first one that came up.
Yeah,
Go into Google, type in Pizza Tower.
Pizza
then go
Tower
to-
on Fields Erdel Road.
And then images.
Oh, it does look good.
And it's all the
They have a truck. They have a pizza truck. This is what Sarah and I have talked about doing as like a wedding thing. That we would just get a pizza truck. Literally, I'm not even joking about it. And having it like cater the reception of our wedding.
Man, that's pretty good. I'm in.
So please note, is a $300 minimum charge. There is no truck charge. Additional fees for more than 2 hours. $50 to deposit to book.
All you can eat party
Choose
is
from
only
free
$8 a person.
Oh my god.
I'm fucking in.
We might have to make this a real thing. See, I was just joking about this because Sarah and I love to eat pizza, but like, if this is like a real, because that's what I talked about as like when we to kind of harken back to the follow-ups of the wedding episode that we did, which is probably one of the best episodes in terms of talking to people that we've ever done. I'm totally down for hiring a food truck to come cater your wedding.
I mean, it's got to be like a trusted source.
It's gotta be a
Can't just
good
be any
food truck.
food truck. Yeah.
Who cares?
Dojo Gelato, just the ice cream truck. I'm in.
I'm not talking about just getting like, Johnny's Chicken and Subs to come and cater your wedding. I'm talking like actually getting a like legit food truck, like the Time Machine or something. It's gotta have some quirky name. Can't just be like Steve's Fried Gelatin Palace or something. Like it's just
How would you even fry gelatin, Sean?
no one cares.
I
Freeze
care.
it and then fry it.
I care.
birthday, Tyler.
Thank you.
I miss you. I'm sad I didn't get to see you guys as much as I in person as we do on the show.
It's okay. Someday.
Probably
Someday.
dumb Christmas commercials that are making me feel all like I miss my friends and I wish I had a family that was close to me. I'm such a sentimental wreck about this time of year. I can just like I love everyone and I just can't. It totally wears at my like I'm too tough for you to love me persona. And then I like
So, Sean's already alluded to it, but we want to talk about Christmas commercials and just kind of like the onslaught of Christmas and holiday media that is about to hit us here in the next few weeks. Started seeing Christmas commercials last week before Thanksgiving, was not okay with that. But now that we're past Thanksgiving, it's really starting up in earnest, and so I sent around a few of my favorite Christmas commercials so far this year, and I just wanted to talk to the guys kind of about, you know, these commercials and the vibe of the Christmas media season 2016. So, Tyler, of the commercials that we watched, and there will be links to all these in the show notes, was there one in particular that stood out to you or that really like affected you?
I would definitely say the one that stuck out to me the least was probably Frankie's Holiday, the one with Frankenstein.
Which is the new
I feel
Apple
like-
commercial.
Yeah, I feel like that one didn't really get at me the way I wanted it to. But maybe because it didn't have a cute animal in it, and I feel like that's really what it is. That in my heart of hearts, I just realized it's because it didn't have an animal.
That came
Well,
on this
and-
weekend, and my dad said, "What are they even advertising?"
Because I think we have to accept that none of these videos have anything to do with the product they're selling. Let's just.
I'm
get
glad
that
you
out.
already went there because that was somewhere I wanted to go with this, but
You're
yeah,
like,
no.
I'm like, I don't even know what John Lewis even is.
Oh, it's a
Who that
department
is?
store.
Oh well, I guess they sell trampolines at John Lewis because maybe they sell dogs. I don't know.
Sean, did any of these
Um,
affect you in particular?
So Frankie's Holiday made me sniffle a little bit. I thought it was actually super cute to watch a Frankenstein kind of lead everybody in singing. It made me feel really special. And then the Heathrow Bears was a heart getter because I really miss my grandma and grandpa. So I was like, oh my god. This is so cute. And as far as funny stuff, I know it's not Christmas, but the Shame or Glory commercial as a not subtle at all nod to Game of Thrones.
For those who haven't
it's
seen
hilarious.
this, it's the Soda Stream, Shame or Glory, and they're shaming a guy for buying carbonated water at the grocery store instead of using Soda Stream, which is cheaper and more eco-friendly.
I'm gonna watch that now.
Oh, you should watch it because it's hilarious. I guess Sansby's The Greatest Gift that was probably the most artfully done commercial with the best. I feel like that had the best message probably.
Wait, Taylor doesn't understand the context of this commercial, does he?
I thought you watched Game of Thrones.
I don't watch Game of Thrones.
Oh my god, you don't
Shame.
even get it at all. Shame. I wish I had a bell here.
I still thought it was funny. I just don't get the reference.
Oh, if you got it, it would be 10 times as funny. That's what I was busting out when I saw it because I was like, oh, I get it. And they go by the crowd and everyone's chanting and throwing food at him. Shame.
The one that really got me was the Buster the Boxer, which is the one Tyler was talking about from John Lewis with the trampoline. I just thought that was super adorable, and the CGI was really well done, and I love the look on the dad's face when he opens the door on Christmas morning and the dog runs out and gets on the trampoline before the girl does. I just thought that was perfect.
I love it when the commercial kind of has that like break and the dog's just jumping on the trampoline without the music in the background and people are walking by and you just hear like barking. That was really funny.
Yeah, that was like the key moment of that commercial. Like, all of these commercials kind of have one of those tipping point moments that's like, if we don't have you now, we're gonna get you. In that one, it's when the dog barks, like you said. In the Apple one, it's when the little girl starts singing. In the Heathrow one, it's definitely when the bears try and like pull the thing off the shelf and they all just come crashing down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all of these commercials are just so effective, at least in that little second of, like, hitting you right in the heart. And that's why I love Christmas commercials.
The
Because I feel
Heather
like
one
they're
is
always
adorable
so good
because
at this.
the Heather one is just too adorable because you see it and you're like, oh my God, the bear puts on his little glasses and he's like reading the sign. You can kind of see your grandparents like going into, you can kind of imagine somebody that you know in the situation, and oh my God, it's just adorable. But I feel like, okay, so the Frankie's Christmas was like, although it kind of like touched my heart, thinking about the history of Apple commercials. This kind of reminds me of the one that they did in the 80s where
You're referring to the Macintosh ad that was the 1984 scene?
yeah, I feel like some of their commercials, they kind of started that with not dealing with the subject matter. It's kind of about something else. And maybe Apple was Frankenstein. I don't know. Maybe that's what they're getting at there.
Well, I think it is. It's the, like, lifestyle ad, where it's not about the product necessarily. Last year's Apple Christmas ad was probably the most product-centric one they've done in a long time. And that was the one, I'm sure everybody's seen it a billion times, with the kid who's, like, sitting on his phone the whole time at Christmas, and his family keeps, like, being upset with him for being on his phone, and then at the end he shows them that he made a movie of Christmas Day for them on his iPhone. That commercial was really focused on product, and there were a couple in this list that were focused on product, but I feel like we've all been saying, we've all picked the ones that are much more like feel good, just kind of like brand messages. And I like that about Christmas. I like that, yes, this has become this kind of like huge consumerist holiday and everything, but everybody's willing to just make these light, fluffy commercials that are just kind of about like positive messages and stuff, spreading them good vibes.
And just to be, I guess, just to say it kind of out loud, I feel like these are, in general, just a good idea. I think it kind of, like, cleanses everyone's palate, because I feel like they kind of know that everyone's probably getting overloaded with, like, deals and, like, messages, and so they really don't want to, like, add to that noise, and they really want to almost set out goodwill, like, hey, it doesn't have to always be about business, even though it totally is about business. And it really like reinforces the brand character, and so it's kind of like it's not something that you acknowledge like at like a basic level. Like a common person probably isn't even thinking about it at that level. They're probably not like, oh, this is building their brand. They're like, oh, this Frankenstein character is like supposed to like really establish that like we care about other types of people that that feel like outcasts or whatever, and that could probably have some bigger message, just like the Amazon one that was playing where it had like the rabbi and then like the other I don't know what they're called, I forget, the cleric, I guess we'll just call it that. They're both receiving like Amazon packages, and it's like they're trying to build like relationships. Everyone uses the same product, everyone like like everyone's the same. So it's like it feels like those are all like really important for brand identity, which doesn't seem readily apparent.
Right. And if you think about it, I think this is probably like media marketing 101. That like we just came off of probably one of the heaviest downer elections that I can remember, which is not that many, where up until like 2 weeks ago, you couldn't turn on the TV without seeing how the world was going to fall apart and everything sucks. And pretty much if you turn it on today, it's probably still most of that, depending on what you watch. And to see commercials that are like happy and celebrating the holiday season and like seeing families and stuff, oh my God, it's just like relief. Like it's nice to just watch commercials that make you feel good for once. And I say that as somebody who doesn't like Christmas commercials. Like it's just lovely to see that.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of that this year for that very reason, Sean. I think we're going to get a lot of good messages in, not even just in commercials, but I think in like our holiday-centric media this year, it's going to be a lot more simple, lighthearted messages than usual, because that's what we need right now. And if that needs to come from a commercial with a jumping dog or a singing Frankenstein, then so be it. Like, I'm down. So Sean kind of mentioned it as we were coming into this topic, just talking about approaching the holidays and how, the holidays tend to melt the cynic in you, and like, people are always saying like, oh, it's too soon to listen to Christmas music, or you have to listen to Christmas music starting on December 1st or the day after Thanksgiving, or like whatever. Like, I don't want to have that stupid argument about when you listen to Christmas music. So for you guys, there's so much hubbub and to a certain extent controversy over holiday themed media and when to start consuming it or why it exists. I'm just curious, like, what is your relationship to holiday media, whether that's, commercials or songs or movies or TV specials or whatever?
I mean, I'm okay with it. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I'm more receptive to it the closer we get to Christmas because I feel like I'm not, as a how do I say it? Non's not the right word. Let's start here. I'm just going to start over.
Okay.
I don't love it. I don't hate it. I feel myself growing more fond of it as we get closer to the 25th. But I don't feel like Christmas is my favorite holiday. So I don't see maybe I should say, I don't get the joy that some people get out of Christmas as like a 25-day celebration. That's not for me. Like I can get like 7 or 8 and I get like really excited, like especially around the time. And it's more so not because of Christmas itself, because I feel like it's daunting in some aspects, but the whole idea that like you get the day off to like hang out with your family and stuff like that. And I even kind of like it more for its like secular coming togetherness than about, the religious aspect of it. But does that make sense?
Yeah, that made total sense.
How my general thoughts on Christmas is essentially what Taylor's asking, right?
On like the Christmas like media and cultural environment.
I feel like I'm a very traditional person, but most of the traditions for Christmas don't excite me very much. In that the songs I feel like are all kind of like they really wear out after a while. I feel like it's really almost upsetting. There's only like 10, so like there's probably like 20 songs total that you have to listen to, and there hasn't like it feels like Halloween too short. It's one day. It could maybe be we could maybe do a Halloween Eve, and that'd be great. Halloween Eve, Halloween. Thanksgiving I feel like could also use an eve and a day, but Christmas really stretches it out. They just have party after party, and it's just I don't know. Maybe I don't like any of it because I don't really feel like listening to the Misfits or like anything spooky until like literally like the week before. I feel like if there was like some more like breath being like more things like kind of being like introduced into it, like more, like new music or new like traditions or more like sort of stuff kind of going on, I feel like that would maybe excite me more. I don't know.
That makes
a shitty
sense.
answer.
No,
I hate everything I said.
I don't think that's a shitty answer at all.
I feel the same way. Like I kind of hate everything that I said, but I don't really like disagree with anything that I said. Maybe I just feel like everyone's got to get an in with Christmas, and that's what makes it terrible.
I think something interesting on My Brother and Me. They celebrate the idea of candle nights. Candle nights is a pan-religious, pansexual, personal pan-winter holiday celebrated by my brother and me. It has been described as being basically Christmas and dreidels and latkes and Kwanzaa songs. Candle night starts and ends for each person at different times. It's about different things for each person and is celebrated differently by each person. People from all countries of all religions and those without religion alike can celebrate their own candle nights in their own way. And I'm kind of almost like, great, perfect. That sounds... I don't know. There's so much like I don't have a problem with tradition. I just have a problem with traditions. I feel like they could just grow really stale. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is.
I celebrate Christmas as a religious holiday, but I also celebrate it as a traditional holiday, and I think there's some weird tensions there that's a discussion for outside of this podcast. But the tradition part of it has always felt really stale to me as well. Very similar to what you guys were saying. It just feels like there are certain things that happen every Christmas, like, It's a Wonderful Life is always played on NBC on a certain day, and you hear the same 50 songs on the same radio station all month long, all December. And just stuff like that quite frankly, I'm kind of tired of. It was fun when you were a little kid, but now that there are no little kids in my house, like my parents' house or my house, I don't feel like we necessarily need some of those things, and I feel like the holiday can be something different. The problem is that I feel like a lot of people have never added anything to Christmas, and so they become really defensive when you try and add things to Christmas. I don't know, like, I kind of like this whole winter holiday season as a time of reflection, and so to me, like, it should adapt to the year that you've had, and it should change a little bit based on, what you come into it with. Because this, I mean, like, I don't know, this Christmas feels a lot different than last Christmas, which feels a lot different than Christmas 2014. Like, I don't know, I just don't like, I'm with you guys, I don't like the staleness.
I think an example of like a good tradition is something like Mystery Science Theater 3000 all day
On Thanksgiving? Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, great. I can tune in anytime. I don't even have to watch it, but just knowing that it's there and that's something I can do, great, perfect.
Yeah, which is how people feel about, like, the Cowboys always play on Thanksgiving. Awesome. Great. I'm not into football, but if that's your thing, that's your thing. But some of it, I just feel like, we can probably do something else. And so that kind of brings me to these ads and what Sean was talking about with kind of the negativity we've experienced over the last few weeks leading up to the holiday season. I'm just wondering, like, what changes are you guys going to make to your holiday this year? Or are you going to make any changes? Like, what do you want the holidays to be for you this year?
I want to say that I want to make a more conscious effort to really reflect on like what people want as a gift, because I feel like, I mean, obviously the gift giving is a very important part, but I feel like I've never really made a really honest like attempt to really get something for someone that they really like specifically wanted. I guess maybe just within the lens of like my parents in particular, but it's hard because they never like really put it out there that they really want anything in particular. Like I just like Catherine. I know lots of things about her. You know, she has a long list of wish lists that I can look off of. Parents, they're like, hey, I sure do like cards and Band of Brothers. You're like, there's only so much I could do with that.
I kind of realized this weekend from hanging out with you, Tyler, actually, it's not cold here in Georgia, but it was cold in Ohio this weekend. And so we walked down from Sleepy Bee to a coffee shop in like hats and gloves and jackets and stuff. And I remembered that one of my favorite things about this season is always like coming home and catching up with people that I haven't seen in a while. And so for me, and I think gift giving is kind of part of this, is like a symbolic gesture of like the way that you care for a person. But I really just want to make sure that I go into this holiday season and like make a conscious effort to spend one-on-one time with people instead of just doing like the big group family, like, hey, let's all hang out and play Monopoly or whatever. Like, I really want to sit down and have a conversation with each person and just kind of like check in and see how they're doing.
And maybe that's more of what I'm looking for, but it just feels so hard to, especially when the divide in my family is basically me and people my age, and then people that are like 20 to 30 years older than me. It's basically parents and then children of one generation. I mean, there's grandparents, but I mean, it's basically there's no like real in between, and so it just feels like they're so themselves. They're so like they've been doing the shit for like 30 years basically. They've been exactly who they are. They've been doing these jobs for exactly like as long as almost as I've been alive. And it feels like it's really hard to really relate on like a lot of levels or try to like connect in like a way that feels meaningful when it's like I don't even know like where to begin. You know, like especially when we have like it feels like we have such divergent interests.
So we all talked about how we feel holiday media and holiday traditions have been a little stale and we're all looking for something new. So I was curious, what is everybody's favorite newer piece of holiday TV or movies or music or something that's come out in the last like 10 or so years or whatever that they want to become a new holiday tradition for them? I really like the sort of sad Christmas songs that have been coming out lately out of rock bands. I'm thinking of like The Killers do a Christmas single every year that are usually like a little bit tinged in sadness. There have been a few other bands to put out like one-off Christmas singles that are kind of kitschy and interesting and strange. But one that sticks out to me in particular is last year's LCD Sound System track, "Christmas Will Break Your Heart." It's really sad and not really a fun Christmas song, but I just kind of like it as a reminder of like Christmas isn't always fun for everybody. And it's a beautiful song and it's really well written. And I just think it is an interesting piece of holiday memorabilia that I will probably carry with me for a few years in the future.
Christmas or Catherine's usually gone through the like the first like the week of Christmas. So like a lot of things we probably would have be traditions or kind of non-existent, just because she visits her family. I'm trying to think of what I consumed during that week. Like all the claymation, like stop motion claymation movies. Those have been around forever. Those aren't really new. Those aren't even close to being like old hat or like new ideas. So.
But there was the hilarious Community Christmas special where Abed had the fantasy that they lived inside a claymation Christmas special.
That's true. That was pretty good. I think that. Well, I guess that's a good launching point. Catherine and I really like to try to find episode like Christmas or like Halloween or Thanksgiving episodes of like various cartoons. Like, it was really easy to find Halloween episodes of shows, specifically because of the early 2000s, 90s Sabrina the Teenage Witch with Melissa Joan Hart, which every year for like 7 years they had a Halloween episode, because why the fuck not? And so it's usually stuff like Doug or like Hey Arnold, stuff like that. So I think it's still sort of the same thing that people do though.
Yeah, but it's with TV shows that you grew up on, and it's not like, the Andy Griffith Christmas special or whatever.
Sure.
Sean, is there anything that you watch or listen to or whatever every holiday season?
My parents continue to troll me every single year. They always make sure to get me a cookie. And the reason they do is because we went to Disney World back, I don't know, 1997 or something like that now. Almost more than that. Yeah, it's got to be, well, maybe like 7 years, maybe like 20 years ago. I went to Disney World and I got this cookie from there, and it was of a Goofy. And I like put it in the freezer when I got back home, and I never ate it. It's still there. Like it's 20 years old. It's this cookie. It's in the freezer. And my parents always thought it was really funny, so every year they get me this cookie, and to kind of like razz me about it, to just remind me that it's still there. And I always make a point to like eat it immediately, just to show them that like that one is special, and that's why I don't really care, and that their joke's not really that funny. So there we go. There's my share story.
Now, do they have a different perspective on this? Is this a fond memory? Is this a joyful memory for them? Or is this kind of like...
It probably is. I mean, Steve and I were really little when we went, so they, like...
But to you, it's not. It's not a
well,
joyful memory.
to me, it is. It's just like, it's just been killed.
Sure. Because
like,
it's been every year.
I don't really care that much. It's like when you're with your parents and they're like, I remember when you used to, and then insert something embarrassing that you did when you were a child,
I remember when you used to poop your pants. Like,
right.
Yeah, it's like
it's like that. It's just annoying.
I was a baby. What? That was so many. That doesn't count. That's my parents were like.
That's what I mean. The joke is just on them all the time too, because that cookie still exists. It's still in their freezer, and like every time they open it up, it's sitting right there looking at them. So like. I have to eat a cookie once a year, but they have to look at a cookie 365 times a year. So, joke's on you, I guess. All right, so this week on our Internet Garbage video, I gave the guys a video of Christmas Time, one word, by the Smashing Pumpkins, which was recorded and written by Billy Corgan and the Smashing Pumpkins. It was released in 1997. Google was wrong in saying it was released on the door in 1998. That is not true. It was done on its own album, which is a holiday album by a bunch of alternative artists at the time. There isn't a music video for it, but the video that I found, which I liked even better, is of a Christmas light celebration thing with the timed like Christmas stuff and blah blah blah. I actually thought that this one was super good because not only does he integrate lyrics of the song into the lights rhythmically, but he also integrates it graphically inside of the Christmas tree in the middle. I highly recommend just watching the Christmas tree in the middle to see all the cool stuff with lyrics and guitars and stuff. He kind of plays up on that. So we'll post a video so everybody can check it out. I know that Tyler's watching it right now. I'm about to turn it back on because it's such a catchy song, but maybe a little intro to this for everybody who doesn't know that I love the Smashing Pumpkins. This came on at work, and I was like, that sounds like Billy Corgan. And I like hightailed it back to my office to see what was playing, and it was Billy Corgan and Smashing Pumpkins. And I was like, I like this song now. I like Christmas music just a little bit more because of that. Like, it's just my heart grew another size, and my Scrooge grew just a little bit smaller.
This is an obsessively well done Christmas light display.
It is. It's amazing.
I mean, the bar has only been continuously been raised year after year.
This was done in 2013 too.
When was that first one? When was the one where it was?
Oh gosh, that was like Flash video days. We're talking like 2004.
Is it really?
Yeah, it was pre-YouTube.
Was that the last like big one that people were like really into?
I mean, probably not. There's been a bunch of them, but I have to say, this is nice because it's not crazy over the top and confetti cannons and all sorts of crazy bullshit. It's just like a light fixture that he's happened to do some really interesting stuff with. And he's picked a nice song that not many people know, and it's just kind of nice. Like, it's just nice. It's like the commercials we were talking about earlier. It feels like a nice, uplifting little Christmas thing, and I love that. And I think that you could show this to anybody, and they would be like, oh yeah, this is just kind of nice, even if they don't know who Smashing Pumpkins are.
But I mean, like, when you look at the graphics on the tree, that's what I thought was really cool. You see, like, he does the lyrics on it. He does, like, the little boys and girls with the presents going through. Like, there's a guitar that comes down. It's, like, rhythmically, all the things match, like, perfectly with when the lights hit on a downbeat. Like, it's just super well done for what seems like somebody would do, who does this as like just something to kind of bring joy to the neighborhood. So this is like super well done.
It's my first time listening to that song. That's a pretty cute song.
It is. It's pretty good, isn't it?
He did really. He didn't break character once. He's like, man, I'm just a normal guy that
loves Christmas and black cats.
Yeah, I mean, these Christmas displays are usually really tacky to me. I like this.
And everyone knows that they're tired of watching the Trans-Siberian Orchestra crap. They're just over it.
I'm over Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Yeah, I think that kind of falls into the stale holiday traditions we were talking about earlier. I want more Christmas songs from revered alt-rock artists. Why don't Foo Fighters have a Christmas song?
Yeah, get on it, Beck.
There's not a great amount, you're right. But there's a decent amount. I think there's more Christmas than any other thing, than any other like holiday, I would say.
Well, yeah, I mean there aren't a whole lot of Hanukkah songs.
Well, I mean it's just Halloween, Thanksgiving. Well, we'll talk about Thanksgiving.
Ain't nobody rewriting Thanksgiving songs. No. I mean,
what band would you like to see? What song? Do what song? And then what would be the most magical Christmas form to do it in? Like traditional Christmas thing.
You know, it actually already happened.
Really?
Pick. Yeah. So last year, the Killers did their charity Christmas single as usual. It's called Joel the Lump of Coal, and they did a claymation animation for it with Jimmy Fallon playing the lump of coal. And it's great.
Perfect.
It's just perfect. I love it. We'll put a link in the show notes.
Oh, apparently Bad Religion did one, which that's
No. Do not want.
Well, if in the alternative music like genre, 90s alternative, if Stone Temple Pilots were still a thing,
ooh,
I would like to see them do a cover of any Christmas song, it doesn't matter what, but do it in like inside of a Christmas ornament hanging up on a tree.
Ooh, nice.
And do like do like a live band kind of thing, because I think you could do a lot of cool stuff with that. Or maybe the Strokes. I'd like to see the Strokes do something too. Inside of a snow globe? Yeah, Sarah said maybe a snow globe.
I could totally see the Strokes doing a video inside of a snow globe.
Yeah, or like the Kaiser Chiefs or something. Any of those like early alternative bands doing something in a snow globe. I feel like that would be very like the Bravery. That would be a cool like to do a Bravery cover of like Silent Night inside of a snow globe. That would be cool. I'd like to see that.
Where are they? What are they doing right now?
I don't even know if they're still together.
Whoops.
Tyler's still trying to figure it out. It's a tough question.
If it's like
to get to.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely. I would like to see what it would sound like. I feel like this is gonna be a stupid fucking answer, so just let me say it and then just roast me, okay? I want to see what maybe like a Daft Punk or like a Gorillaz like Christmas album would sound like.
That's not dumb.
I mean, I don't know.
That would be cool.
I mean, I guess to be fair, Daft Punk puts out so very little albums. Like, I mean, they put out a lot of albums, but like they're very specific. And it'd be interesting to see that, like, if they really dedicated an entire album to a Christmas album, or just a holiday themed. Like, what would that be? Slightly lesser, probably less higher tier band that probably more likely to do it. Rat-a-tat probably would.
Oh, they would totally do it. They would do like Carol of the Bells or something.
Still sound really probably grimy and like a Sega Genesis, but you know.
See, I can think of like really stereotypical stuff, like Twisted Sister doing a cover of like Deck the Halls or something. Like you can see them actually. I can see them doing something like that. Like any '80s metal band doing like any fast-paced cover.
Right. I mean, we did live through the 2000s, which meant that pretty much any popular song or like culturally relevant song was turned from whatever its native genre into punk. So
and screamo.
Is there a Punk Goes Christmas?
that was like Pop Goes Punk, whatever else. I forget what else it was called. Punk Goes Prunk. There you go. That's what it was.
Oh my god, I think there is a Punk Goes Christmas. There is.
Oh yeah.
Oh, do
Let's
tell.
see.
Who's on it?
Who's on it? It came out in 2013. Newfound Glory, All Time Low, Real
Beautiful.
Friends, Man Overboard, Somerset, Crown the Empire, Yellow Card, Issues, Jason Lancaster, The Ready Set, Set It Off, and William Beckett. In the deluxe edition, there was Jared Along, August Burns Red, Being as an Ocean, and This Wildlife. I kind of want to look this up on Spotify now.
We'll put a link in the show notes. Also, the Bravery broke up in 2011.
Womp. They were giving me something to believe.
And now it's time to round the show out like we always do, with some shameless plugs. Tyler, the perfect bite, Reed. What would you like the people to do this week?
Hey everybody. You can find my work at tylerdreed.com. You can find me on the socials as TDR Design on Instagram and Twitter. That's it. Please talk to me. I'm lonely. It's cold, baby. Please talk to me.
Sean Grinch Evans. Where can the people find you?
They can find me at SEvans8910, on the socials, Snapchat, Twitter. That's it. Taylor taught me how to open up your snaps to me, so now I can see your snaps, and they won't just sit in my snap box for, man, that sounds really innuendo-y, for like months. As well, Emily Bamforth, find me on there, because I can't find you. So hit me up. You know my handle now. Let me just tell it just for Emily one more time. SEvans8910. That's me. Emily Bamforth. Snap me, girl.
And you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. I guess that's it. You can follow me on all those things as at TC Olmstead. And of course, you can like and follow the show as at Dudes Brunch. And if you really like us, you can leave us a review on iTunes. Also,
Christmas sweater?
Christmas sweater update.
Working on it. It'll be done.
What are we going with? What did you decide? This is news to me, as I want to know.
I mean, it's gonna try to incorporate all those dank maymays from this past year. So
You heard it here first, kids. Dank Maymay Sweater 2017. Hopefully available before the end of 2016.
that's right.
Well, thanks everybody for listening, and we will see you next week for more brunch.
It's okay. It just turns out Sean had like some like pastry based demons in his closet.